Alright folks, I'm Dan Gannott, your PS2 guy. It's 2026 and the PlayStation 2 is still out here thriving through emulation. Today we're kicking off part 1 of 26 PS2 games for 2026, all played and recorded on the Retroid Pocket G2. These are games that don't just run well in emulation, they shine. So let's dive in and see what we've got. Capcom once had a golden era of strange experiments, and Shadow of Rome is one of its finest. It mixes stealth, political intrigue, and brutal gladiator combat in a way that feels way ahead of its time. With emulation, the arenas are sharper, the crowd reacts in detail, and those slow-motion executions are still glorious and still over the top. This one is like if Devil May Cry crashed into a Tim Burton musical. Stylish combos, singing boss battles, and that unmistakable Gothic flair. On the Retroid Pocket G2, the cel-shaded art looks crisp and vibrant, proof that good art direction always beats realism. Jack Skellington never looked this smooth.
Robber! Coal robber! Coal robber! Coal robber!
Some games hit you with nostalgia the moment you boot them up, and Klonoa 2 is one of them. Its dreamy world and expressive animation upscale beautifully. It's like a storybook in motion, and under that cute exterior, a surprisingly emotional, bittersweet journey that still hits hard 2 decades later. Imagine Ghosts and Goblins reborn in full 3D. Armor breaking off, lives draining fast, and that cheeky sense of humor intact. Maximo plays tight and punishing, and in emulation, those medieval backdrops and sharp-edge animations look brand new. It's retro pain, but we love it. Picture a vampire cowboy with dual shotguns riding through a cursed Wild West. That's Darkwatch, a first-person shooter dripping with atmosphere and blood-splattered flair. Through emulation, the effects finally pop the way they were meant to. It's moody, it's fast, and it's stylish as hell, literally. Be sure to check out the full review of the game here on my channel.
Gunslingers! Look out, they can shoot back! That'll shake them up.
Boys, very simple stuff. Just a little pick up and drop smuggling operation.
Before Grand Theft Auto 3, Rockstar gave us this chaotic sandbox of buggies and border chases. It's pure adrenaline, and it still holds up well today. The big open-world landscapes look smoother through emulation, letting you appreciate just how wild Rockstar's early physics experiments really were. Be sure to check out my full review here on my channel.
Well, you rocked it, don't you?
13 is what happens when a comic book and an espionage thriller have a beautifully cel-shaded baby. Its art style is timeless. Bold outlines, comic panels, and dramatic pop-up sound effects. On modern hardware, it's razor sharp, proving this aesthetic never needed a remake in the first place. Capcom flexed its cinematic muscle here. Jean Reno fighting alongside a time-traveling samurai, only on PS2. The presentation is gorgeous even today, and when upscaled, it generally looks like an HD remaster. The combat's fast, the story's wild, and it's arguably peak Onimusha. This reboot gave Spyro that mid-2000s edge. Flashy combos, big voice cast, and a more cinematic tone. Emulation really brings out the lighting, particle effects, and just makes it look super sharp, reminding you just how much the PS2 was capable of squeezing out. It's not the old school Spyro, but it's surprisingly epic in its own right.
You know, this is getting a little boring.
Sparks!
I thought all you guys was gone.
Miserable coward, let me go!
Don't let him get away.
Every time I replay Eco, I'm reminded that minimalism can be more powerful than spectacle. The tone, the lighting, the sense of isolation, all of it upscaled into something hauntingly beautiful. It's not a loud game, it's an emotional one. Simple, poetic, and timeless. Black. This is one of my favorites. Black still feels like a tech demo for how many explosions can one PS2 game handle. The gun detail, the debris, the smoke, it's all pure visual chaos. And in emulation, it's jaw-dropping. They sold it as gunplay, and honestly, yeah, it still earns that title today.
Hammerhead 6-2, this is 2-5, we're pinned down! I have multiple casualties! Request priority medevac on my location!
Say again, your last we did not copy?
A gritty, cinematic trip through London's underworld that traded traditional HUDs for immersion. It's moody, realistic, and full of that early 2000s British gangster energy. On modern displays, the lighting and facial animations actually hold up surprisingly well. It's like watching a forgotten BBC crime series that just happens to be interactive. Watch for the Nether SX2 graphics glitch fix coming to my channel soon.
Salmon, over here! Up here, fucker!
Get help! This guy's a nutter! Don't worry yourself about it. Have some of that!
Hey, we need some help!
And of course, Silent Hill 3, one of the few horror games that still gets under your skin today. The fog, the lighting, those grotesque monster designs, all upscaled beautifully. But what matters most is the atmosphere. It's suffocating, unsettling, intelligent horror, the kind that never ages. This is a beautiful game that plays so well under emulation.
What a nightmare.
Okay, well, that wraps up part one of the 26 PS2 games for 2026. It's amazing how well these old titles hold up, not just visually, but emotionally and creatively. And emulation on something as portable as the Retroid Pocket G2 proves the PS2 legacy is still evolving. I'll be back with part two soon. Until then, keep that nostalgia running at 60 frames per second. I'm Dan Gannott, the PS2 guy. Thanks for watching. Stay retro.